Hello and welcome. Moto Ruxin here, and besides my YouTube videos, you can find me on most social media under the name Moto Ruxin, including Twitch, where I mostly stream cross-stitch and occasionally video games. Here on YouTube, you'll mostly find my Twitch VODs and FlossTube videos, and this is my dog Ruxin here. He wants to be a part of the video too. Say hi. Hi. Say hi. Say hi. Yeah, good boy. Okay. But today I'm actually going to be doing something a little different. Today I'm going to teach you how to make my famous mini caramel apple bites, which are always the hit of every party and office carry-in. I've made dozens of batches over the years, learned what works and what doesn't work, and now I've got it down to a science. So this video should take any of the guesswork out, as I'll be recording the whole process step by step. This treat can be a bit tedious to make, so it's the perfect job for little kitchen helpers to assist with. Let's start with what you're gonna need. Alright, so I am going to run through what ingredients we'll be using to make these caramel apple bites. So typically I like to use Honeycrisp apples. You probably need about 5 to 8. Sometimes you can get really giant ones. Sometimes they come a little smaller. But I try to get them to yield about 50 to 55 of the caramel apple bites. Just because that's about how much caramel and chocolate coating you can utilize. So about 50 to 55, so it just depends on the size of your apples. I just bought a nice bag of them, especially because sometimes, you get bruised ones, and this way, you'll have plenty. Now the chocolate coating, I do recommend specifically that you use this Ghirardelli dark chocolate flavored melting wafer. That's been the best one. I've used a couple different kinds. This is the best. So use it if you can. I think I get it at Walmart, carries it. Then let's see, you have the Kraft caramel melting little bits. These will be, the caramel of our caramel apple bites. I like diced walnuts. These I think I get maybe at Kroger, because I don't think Walmart ever has them diced. I think they a lot of the times have them chopped. But these are like the perfect size for the covering to not be too ginormous, but it's preference. Whatever you want to coat them in, you can use. Sprinkles. I also like to use these, for anyone who doesn't like nuts. Sprinkles, they're the rainbow nonpareils, the little circle ones, or you can use whatever kind of sprinkle, any topping besides nuts or sprinkles, so you can get creative. You could use holiday sprinkles, whatever you want. It's completely up to you. Let's see, you also are gonna need these little mini cupcake liners. I like to use the mini ones, or I think you can also get little actual candy cups that are specifically for making like little candies, but basically you want them to be pretty small because the apple's gonna fit about that big. You're also going to need toothpicks. I buy them like the 500 pack, so I always have them. You're also going to need either wax paper or parchment paper, completely up to you, whatever you have, or if you need to go buy some, I like to use wax paper. And you're also going to need some paper towels. That is important. And you're also going to need to be using some kitchen tools. But first I will have a list of the ingredients, so that way you have it in case you want to screenshot it in one spot. Tools, which I will also have a list of those for you as well. If you want to screenshot it, you're going to need a cookie sheet, something big that a lot of the apple bites can fit on. You're also going to need a medium size-ish microwave safe bowl. This one has horsies on it, and it's been the perfect size. Just kind of a nice oversized soup bowl would be perfect. Now I like to use a metal chopstick as my stirrer. Obviously you could use a spoon, whatever you want, just to make sure you don't microwave with the metal utensil in your microwave safe dish. So I'll make sure to say that a couple times throughout this video. You're also going to need a melon baller. And I have as well a couple of small little dishes that I'm going to be using to add like the sprinkles and nuts to. And then you're also going to want a large container that you can fit all of your caramel apple bites in. Now remember, they're going to have toothpicks in them, so it needs to be tall enough that I can fit them in there and have, you know, your lid closed. I like this, what is it? It's a Mainstays cake carrier. I found that's the perfect size, and it's covered and everything can fit in there. So again, I'll have that list of all of the kitchen utensils that you'll need. You'll also probably want a tablespoon measure, but I mean, most of us have that, so I almost didn't mention it, but yeah, like I said, I'll have that list here to show you everything that you're going to need before you get started. All right, for step one, we are going to be using our melon baller, the large end. So there should be like a little end and a large end. But first, we are going to lay out a nice long layer of paper towels. I try to kind of do it, kind of like double it up, just because this is where we're going to be laying out these apple chunks that we're about to be melon balling out. So like I said, get yourself a nice layer of paper towels, and then we are going to melon ball out chunks of these apples. So it is important to have the chunks of the apples have skin on top. So we're going to be laying them out in rows, and I try to get, like I said, about 55 chunks laid out. So I'll probably lay them out in about rows of 10, counting as I go. So like I said, you just take your melon baller, and on your apple, you're going to press down and just scoop it out just like you would with a melon. And like I said, then we will be laying them out here on our paper towels. And like I said, I'm going to count them all out. Should have about 55 by the time we are done. So here we go. Hi, Rexon. $10, $15, $20, $25, $30, $35, $40, $45, $50, $55. Okay, so there we go. We've got all 55 apples laid out. Any more than that, and you kind of risk running out of some of the ingredients as you go. You could always try to get a little bit more out of it, but at least for now, I shoot for 55 apples laid out. All right, so we are done with step one. So now we are on to step two, where we are going to be needing our toothpicks. So we are going to insert our toothpicks into the apple chunks, not being afraid to push them all the way in. This is the perfect step for little ones to help with, as it can be a little bit time consuming. So like I said, we're gonna take the toothpick, we'll do it on one right here, and you just wanna push it all the way through until it hits table, and we'll do it 55 times. All right, so now all of our apple chunks have toothpicks in them. So at this time we can also lay out a layer of wax paper or parchment paper on a cookie sheet, as we're gonna need that for the next step. So you just take enough to basically cover the cookie sheet. I try to lay it to where the curly side is going down so it'll kind of stay out of our way. Because like I said, we're gonna need it for the next step. Okay, so now that we have our wax paper out on our cookie sheet and we have toothpicks in all of the apple chunks, you're gonna want your microwave safe bowl and whatever utensil you're gonna use to stir it with. Again, I use a metal chopstick here. You're going to take the Ghirardelli dark chocolate flavored wafers, and we're going to pour those into our microwave safe bowl. Make sure they're all in there. Now we just follow the melting instructions on the back of the package. I microwave for as many 15-second intervals as it takes to get them completely melted. Be sure to stir after every 15 seconds. Do not overheat the chocolate, as it can ruin it. And also, another reminder, do not put your metal utensil in the microwave while you are microwaving the chocolate wafers. That's a big no-no. So, when your chocolate is completely melted, it should look like this with no wafer chunks left in it. Nice and smooth. Okay, so now that our chocolate is melted, one by one, we are going to take the apple chunks, dab the apple chunks onto a dry paper towel to get some of that moisture off of them. And then we are going to dip the apple chunks into the melted chocolate, being sure that the chocolate completely covers the wet part of the apple and then a little bit of the skin, which will lock in the moisture and allow the caramel to stick to it in our next step. And then once that apple is covered with the chocolate, we are going to place them all on the cookie sheets until they're all completely covered. So now that we've got all of the apples covered in chocolate, we're going to place the whole sheet, the whole cookie sheet, into the fridge, and that way they can chill and stay cool while we work through the next couple of steps. Okay, so what I like to do is clean out the bowl that I use for the chocolate. Um, or, if you're feeling lazy, you can just grab another microwave safe bowl. But like I said, I like to clean off everything so I don't have as many dishes when I'm done. So this time we're going to be taking our caramel and placing it into our microwave safe bowl. Now, what you don't want to forget, because according to the package instructions, you do want to add 2 tablespoons of water in there. Just 2. You don't need anything more than that. Just a little bit of water. Okay. And so, just like with the chocolate wafers, what we're going to do is be microwaving these caramel bits for about 15 to 20-second intervals, stirring each time until all of our caramel bits are completely melted into it. So I will show you what that looks like here in a second. Okay, so this is what our caramel wants to look like. It's going to have no bits in it. It's going to be very, very smooth, but now that the caramel is much too hot to go on our chocolate-coated apples right now, we're going to put the entire bowl, stirring utensil and all, into the freezer for 10 minutes. You're going to be stirring it after about 5 minutes, and then after 5 more minutes, that 10 minutes is up, and then you'll stir it again. Okay, so while our caramel is cooling in the freezer, it's the perfect time for the little ones to help again. So this is the preparation we need to do in order to be ready to go once that caramel is ready. So we need to take all these little mini paper cups, and we need to lay out as many liners as we'll need to put every single bite-sized apple, once it's ready, into the little cups. So since I have 55 of them, that's how many I'm going to need to count out. They may not all fit in this little cake container, but that's okay. You can set aside however many liners don't fit in here, outside of it. As we, put the apples in, we can scoot them and squeeze them together a little bit more than when the paper is, full. We should be able to fit the majority of them in here. Whatever doesn't fit could either maybe go into another container, or you could just eat them. That's totally up to you. Okay, we also want to go ahead and dump some of our toppings into these little dishes, which will make it much easier for us to dip the apples in them once the caramel is ready to go. So I'll just take the sprinkles and dump them carefully into here. I'm going to go ahead and take this little lid thing off of it, because that'll make it much easier. But you gotta be very careful, because these things do like to go everywhere. But like I said, it's gonna make it much easier. Now, whatever you end up not using, you can always put back into here. But for now, it's just gonna make it much easier to dip our apples once we are ready to go. So sprinkles. That ought to be plenty. I won't use that whole thing. And then, like I said, I like to use these walnuts. So now we'll probably end up using a little bit more of these, but I'll keep this bag nearby so that way I can add more to it. But this is going to make it much easier once we're dipping. Okay, so now that our caramel is done sitting in the freezer, for, at least the 10 minutes. You've given it a good stir. It should be cooled down enough that we're going to now begin spreading it on the apples. So this is going to be kind of the time consuming part. Be sure to wash your hands because the easiest way to spread the caramel onto the apples is to use your finger. Since this can be messy, having a little kitchen helper for this step can be a huge help, as what I typically do is spread the caramel onto the apple, and then I hand it off to my little helper, who then dips it into either the caramel or the nuts, whatever topping you'll be using, and then what they do is put that into our little cups. But since it's all me by myself, I will be spreading the caramel, dipping it into the toppings, and then placing each of the finished apples into the paper cups all by myself. Now, time is of the essence here. So with the cooled off caramel, I'm going to, like I said, be spreading it on each apple, and then dipping it into either a nut or a sprinkle, and then putting it in here. So here we go. Okay, so stirred my caramel. Might be a little bit warm as you get started, but it's gonna set quickly. So that's why I'm gonna kind of try to hurry through this because I'm all by myself here. So dip it into the sprinkles, into our little cake holder. And then we're just gonna be doing this over and over again. I try to put on a little bit more caramel for the nuts. Dip it in the nuts. And then I try to put them on different sides just because, some people have a nut allergy and some people like the sprinkles better. So if you do have allergies, though, you probably want to put them in completely separate containers so that way you don't risk cross-contamination and such. But here we go. Yeah, that side. All right, we got them all done. Okay, so now that your apples are done, be sure to refrigerate them until you're ready to eat them. They last about 2 days at the most, but I try to prep them either the same day or the night before, just so that they're nice and fresh when I plan on eating them. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and comment to let me know how this recipe worked out for you if you did try it. And now for my favorite part, taste testing. Don't be afraid to eat this all in one bite. So here we go. I'll grab a sprinkles one because they are so good. Bye.